The other issue I raise with people is it's quite rare in the legal system to have a whole policy approach, which is based on catching people for being in possession of something. And the best analogy I can use is alcohol. I can consume alcohol and that's fine. What is not fine is if my behaviour then is driving a vehicle while under the influence, hitting somebody because when I get drunk I get aggressive. That behaviour is punished. But the mere act of having a drink in front of me is not punishable. Yet with drugs, what we're saying is the fact that you have that in your pocket means we are now going to punish you with the full weight of the law. And to me, that's just a ridiculous proposition to have. And if people do have problems with drugs, we know the prison system is not going to help. I've worked in the prison system for many years, here and overseas, and it is rare you would find someone who has benefited from being in prison. I know someone can trot someone out and said this was a life-changing moment for me, but for the majority of people, it's a cruel, inhumane system that actually makes the situation worse for them, not better. That's the reality for most people who end up in prison. And if we have a system around drug policies that is designed to punish people and bring them before the criminal justice system, that's the risk you run. It's always hard with harm reduction policies. I know other people may talk about this, and it's true that people often think that if you introduce something like this, that the sky's going to fall in, everything's going to fall apart, and morality with the end of any proper moral behaviour in society. Like, this is real life. We often argue with people who say that people shouldn't use drugs, don't use drugs. We're not opposed to that message. We're not saying you can't use that message or that's a wrong message. What we're saying is that can't be your only message. Your only message cannot be don't use drugs, don't do something that's bad for you. Everybody at some point has made a choice that's not in their best interest. Whether you drink too much, whether you smoke, whether you gamble, whether you drive too fast. And what we have in place are measures to protect people in those situations. We ask bike riders to wear helmets. We have seatbelts in cars. Lots of things that people have to do because we know that they may be a risk in there or that they may harm themselves and others. Pill testing, harm reduction measures are exactly the same. It's about reducing the harm. You cannot just say, I told you not to do that, and so no one should be doing it. And when premiers and politicians and other people stand up there and say, don't use drugs, it's dangerous, well, people to some extent know that already, but they still do it. And an example is smoking. I don't think anyone you bump into outside would say they didn't realise that smoking was bad for your health. You couldn't argue that we haven't done enough campaigns or made that well known enough in the community that smoking is dangerous. Yet in Australia we have 14%, whatever it is, of daily smokers still. So there are people who know that. They know full well, those daily smokers know full well what the health problems are associated with that, but they smoke. So what we do is we accept that there are people who still do that. So we try other things like patches, and we try and work with people about how to reduce their smoking, how to hopefully stop their smoking. You just don't say, well, I told you not to do it, and if you do it, then it's your problem, not ours. Yet somehow with drug use and when people want to use drugs at festivals, that's their problem. They shouldn't do it. We told them not to do it. It's just, we live in the way I describe it, we live in the real world. People do things that aren't in their best interest sometimes.